Sometimes they know what they need to do. Right. They know they need to fire the person. They know they need to remove this person. They know they need to stop scheduling them. And what happens is they delay because they think it's going to fix itself. Right. They think it's just going to smooth over. It will get better. It's going to get better. I don't want to be the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that's my job, is I take on that role so that my leaders don't have to. Mm-hmm. But you have to act. When your gut is telling you this is not working out well, you must take action, and the action is typically what you don't want to do.
Welcome back to Married Making Millions with James and Angela. Today we're going to be talking about something that seems maybe cliche, but I don't think it's something that we talk enough about, or the importance of it enough. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of gratitude when it comes to your business and your marriage. What effects does that actually have on your business? James and I believe that gratitude actually is a major part and should be a foundational part of your business and your marriage, because it does affect so many different avenues. But we're going to start with the business side of things before we jump into the marriage side. James?
Yeah. Yes, just launch it over to me.
What would you say, or let's start with this. Where have you seen gratitude make a difference in your business, even just this week?
Yeah, I think the first thing, even before you start talking about gratitude in your business, there has to be a gratitude within your own personal life, I think, first. And there's a lot of books that I've read and listened to, podcasts and stuff. The first one I can think of is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which I read years ago now, at this point, almost 10 years ago. And one of the chapters is manifestation or gratitude, and writing things down that you are grateful for, and having a heart of abundance when it comes to being grateful or having gratitude. Because when you can shift your mindset to an attitude of abundance and an attitude of gratitude,
which we've talked about in another episode, an abundance mindset does contribute to that mindset of gratitude as well.
To your overall success in your marriage, overall success in your business, it allows you to think differently. Mm-hmm. It allows you to think, wow, we made X last month, or we did X amount of sales last year or last month. That's pretty impressive. We may not have hit that 10x goal, but we did a really good job. Now, that's not to say, James, those of you who are saying, well, James, that's just a slacker's attitude and mindset of thinking, and that's just a cop-out for not being the best. Well, yes and no. I think yes and no. It's the aspect of have lofty goals, but understand that as you get towards those goals, be grateful that you've gotten there. Right. And it just gives you this attitude and mindset, like we talked about, of abundance, and you're not scraping by for each little lead or prospect or sale or revenue or what have you. You're grateful for what you have done and what you currently have. Doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for more, and you shouldn't strive for excellence and to be number one and compete and all those things. Right. But it just gives you a different mindset of, even if we don't make our 30x goal or our 10x goal or our 5x goal, I'm really blessed and really grateful for my family and the income that I have and the house that's over our head and, all of these things. So I think before we talk about the business, I think it's important to understand having the mindset of
gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude and it being part of your life.
Right. So what are some practical things? So yes, let's back up a little bit. What are some practical things that you do or you've been doing over the past few years that have maybe helped you grow this heart of gratitude? Because it hasn't always been a part of our lives.
No, it starts back with some of the reading and shifting my mindset. And what I do is I write down things that I'm grateful for every single day, every day. I typically don't miss it unless I'm super traveling early, and even still I try to make up on it on the plane or what have you. But I just have a list of just a running list for 2023, 2024, 2025. Before that, I used to write it down in calendar books and things like that. But now I have a program, I do it on the computer, where I just have a morning routine. And a part of that morning routine is to think specifically about what I'm grateful for. And sometimes it's the business, sometimes it's the family, sometimes it's my spiritual life, sometimes it's the weather outside, sometimes it's just anything that you're grateful for. And when you start getting into that habit, changes the way that you think, the way that you act, the way that you treat people, and so on, which we're going to talk about the business.
And it changes when you set your morning up like that. when you're looking for those things that you're grateful for, your mind then in turn throughout the day is actually looking for things that you're grateful for, right? Whatever we focus on is what we tend to find. So if you in the morning, this happened to me yesterday actually, I woke up and I was in a terrible mood. Everything that was negative about life was what was coming to mind. That very quickly, within I would say an hour or two of getting up, my whole morning was negative because that was my thought process. So if we get up, I heard somebody suggest, before you even hit the floor in the morning, list out 5 things that you're grateful for. And for me, I now try to pray those things because we believe in God. And so I try to thank him for the top 5 things that come to mind before I get out of bed. Because it just kind of changes your mindset, and what you look for, right? And what you focus on
will appear.
You will find.
Yeah.
So I think...
And that's the concept of manifestation, which people are like, oh my gosh, manifestation, you're a weirdo, you're a sorcerer, you're a witch, you're a wizard.
No, it's your mindset.
It's really your mindset, and it's your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, without a shadow of a doubt, it is 100% true. If you constantly and habitually write things down, and you have to write them, they have to be written, and then you read them over and over and over and over again, your brain and your mind, and then your body and your actions will find a way to get you to that goal and that result.
Yep.
I would literally bet millions on it. But it's true. If you do that and you get into that habit, it's absolutely 100% true.
Our minds are so powerful. We don't realize, most of us, I didn't realize, I've been studying it a lot more this year, but we don't realize the power that our minds have to control our situations.
Yep. If people would just dive into that more, there's so many people that I see, even people that we know personally that are very close to us, they're just drones, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're just drones. They go to work, they get up, they have no goals, no dreams, no desires above what they see on Instagram and TikTok, and that's not enough.
Right.
That's not enough to change your mindset and your future. We're going on a side tangent here. Maybe we need to bring it back. We could do a whole nother episode on manifestation and your mind and your subconscious mind and so on.
Yes.
So the question that you asked was...
some practical tips that you have done, and you said you've written it down.
Yeah, a lot of writing.
I did the same. If you haven't read 1,000 Gifts and you're a believer, I highly suggest that to start some habits. She has some really good perspectives on just making sure that you're listing out 1,000 gifts that God's given us. And again, setting up your mind for those gifts, to receive those gifts, because they're there. It's just noticing them, right?
I would also suggest a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind, which is a book by Robert Anthony, I think Dr. Robert Anthony. It's a purple book. It's a little bit older. Changed my perspective on the subconscious mind. Very, very impressive. Steve, my old mentor, gave that to me.
Yep.
And I remember specifically where I read it. I finished it in 1 week. We were on a vacation in, I think, Dominican or something, and I was like, I need to bring a good book. Read the whole thing in a week, and it was like, wow. So I think it's Dr. Robert Anthony, purple book, Power of the Subconscious Mind. Very, very impressive. So.
Awesome.
So you asked about the business. So those are some habits and some things that I do to make sure that I'm
in a state of gratitude.
In the right attitude, the right mindset, and in a state of gratitude. Now, it's not perfect, and it's not, you're not going to win every single day on it.
Right.
But if you get into these habits, if you're in a habit of going to the gym, there's a very good chance you're going to go to the gym and you're going to work out more often than you're not.
Yep.
Right? And so if you're in this habit of gratitude and saying gratitude and being thankful for the things that you have, throughout your day, you're going to probably just get a flood of emotions of gratefulness. That happens to me every now and then. Just like, man, just looking outside, like what an incredible day that we have. Like, and so I think that's just natural. Now, how does it impact and affect the business? That's some things that we're going to be talking about.
Yep.
One of the first things that we noticed or we've seen in our life, our business as well, is the relationships. Now, business is tough, and so you have to be cautious of bringing everyone into that inner circle or that fold, if you will, of leadership, upper echelon of leadership, if you will, in your business. But over time, you have people that are loyal, are very trustworthy, will die with you, will go to battle with you, will jump in front of a bus for you. And when that's the case, they didn't become that way just overnight.
Right.
They became that way because of consistent consistent knowledge, consistent trust that we have given to them, and that they've built upon and realized that we can rely on James and Angela. We can rely on James and Jeff. We can rely on James and Jason and Jeff. And so you've now built that level of trust with that foundation. And so where it comes to this gratitude aspect, if you're living with that mindset and that attitude, these people who have worked with you for a while or are continuing to work with you, they realize that you're different from most people or from most business owners who are out on the golf course and don't care about them, or are just solely focused on the profit because they don't have that mindset of gratitude for what's currently coming in. Now, again, it's not a cop-out of we're not going to be excellent. We are going to be excellent. We are going to generate a massive amount of profit and revenue, and we're always going to try to excel to be the best. But when we're shifting and coming to that mindset through that mindset of gratitude, the team recognizes that. They understand we're in business with them for more of the relationship as opposed to more of a transaction. And so when they see us being, hey, I'm really grateful for you. Like, I really appreciate the work that you do. Now, a couple areas that we need to fix that you haven't been doing, but it's okay. We're going to fix it. It's okay to fail as long as we don't do the same thing over and over again. And so when we're coming into that relationship or that business with that attitude, that really strengthens, I think, the bond between the people and yourself, because they're seeing the fruit of your positive and, I would say, grateful attitude versus going in there and just, this is terrible, that's terrible, this sucks, we need to fire this person. And it's just this attitude of negativity and really just ungratefulness of like, hey, how about you be grateful that the store's open today?
Right.
And that two of us showed up even though one person called out.
Right, which is probably what they would want to say in that scenario versus...
Right.
So I also would say gratefulness reaps more gratefulness, right? So if you're telling your leaders that you are grateful for them and you're noticing the work that you're doing, hey, I really appreciated that you did X, Y, and Z, guess what they're going to in turn do?
Turn that onto their people.
Right.
Right.
Which is kind of a downfall.
Which boosts one of the next things we were going to be talking about was morale and culture. And that's one of the biggest things in the business.
Right.
If you can harness the power
Positive culture.
Yeah, positive culture.
Yeah, it changes your business. Turnover is much better. People want to work for you, but it starts with the owners, right? So if we don't have an attitude of gratefulness and we're not making sure we're doing the little things to reach out and make sure our managers know, our leadership team knows how grateful we are for them, then we can't expect them to be telling their leaders, their shift leads or their bakers or whoever might be underneath them. We can't expect them to be telling them that they're grateful for them.
Right.
So they go hand in hand for sure.
It comes from the top. And you hit it too, which is another big point, is retention, improved retention, culture, people staying with you longer, people saying, hey, actually, I might be able to make a career out of this. I mean, we had multiple people when we first started that were like, yeah, my parents, they don't want me to really work here that long because you can't make a career here. Now one of those people is one of our GMs, and she's doing twice as good as any of the college students that she decided to leave. And, she's making money. She just bought her first rental property. Like, that makes me super grateful that I had a small impact in that person's life.
Yeah.
And she took, instead of taking the normal trajectory, which I think is actually terrible for you, your life and your health, that's a different topic. She's now taken a different path that most people would never even consider.
Not at her age, yeah.
Not at her age.
But she has...
She got some good parenting, and they're entrepreneurs.
And she has a property now?
Yes. Yeah, you have to reach out.
That's
Tell her you're
incredible.
grateful for her. So all I'm saying, and she's very young, all I'm saying is when you have that attitude as the leader, it's going to trickle down in that aspect. And again, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. We are absolutely not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. We've done it wrong enough times that we've failed and realized the importance of making sure they know we appreciate them and that we're grateful for them.
And it's funny because we just missed one of our leaders' birthdays recently.
Oh, no.
because we weren't paying attention and we weren't organized. So again,
it's a fail.
We're not perfect, but we are grateful for this person. And so anyway, the thought is that when you have this level of gratitude, there's so much more benefit. Not that you're just being grateful to have all these benefits, but there's so many, what's the word I'm looking for? There's so many byproducts.
Right.
Of being grateful, of expressing gratitude to people, And you shouldn't be doing it just to get something.
Right.
It's not a, let's do this so that we can get.
No, but it's also
genuine.
not hard to do. And it's just being aware and looking for those positive things within your work environment. The other thing that it does help too is on the client side, right? Our customer side, depending on what
Correct.
business you're in. If we're grateful for our customers, so let the trickle down effect again, right? You're grateful for your leaders are grateful for their employees. The employees now can be grateful for their customers. And that's how you create loyal customers. That's how you keep people coming back. That's how a customer becomes a loyal employee, right? That's how you make more sales. That's how you get referrals through businesses, is by being grateful for your customers, knowing that they appreciate, or that you appreciate them.
Yeah. What do you think about this on the flip side? What happens when you're really ungrateful for a customer? Like, for example, like you're typically a grateful person, but you just have this one customer that's just like, ugh. They're like poison ivy. They never go away. What would be in that scenario? You want to stay grateful, but what would be the best solution in that scenario?
I mean, I feel like a customer really has to do a lot of damage to get to that point.
Well, what if they do?
Then I guess you fire them as a customer.
I think that's what you have to do. But
that's
listen,
okay.
but there's so many people, because I dealt with that in the finance world. There was clients of mine that you just couldn't please.
Sure. Well,
they would call you at 8
right.
p.m. at night. They would expect their money to grow 50%. Right. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, I was very transparent with you with all of the things that I'm providing for you. That's not a part of the deal. That's not a part of what happens.
Well, and at that point, it's unhealthy for you, but it also could be very unhealthy for your employees and affecting the culture there. So at that point, yes, there are certain circumstances where you should get rid of customers. But I would say that's not the majority.
No.
Majority of customers are coming in and it's
they want a service that you provide, or
it's a good interaction.
Absolutely.
But I think that's why you say, thank you so much for coming in today. Thank you for stopping by. We hope to see you again. That's why just that little thank you goes a long ways, because that's not normal in customer service anymore. But letting them know that you appreciate them, they are paying your paycheck. Yes. So it's important to make sure that you are saying thank you.
Yes, I just think all I'm saying is sometimes you can't please everybody.
Of course not.
And it's okay. There could be some people listening that are like, well, I've got this one customer and they kill me. And they drain me and they suck the life out of me. And I think you've got to be okay with firing that customer in a professional way.
There's a boundary. You should know where your boundaries are.
I just can't seem to complete all of your needs. I can't seem to give you the level of service that you need. So, and here's what I've done, and I've actually done this before. I've had to do that with a financial client, and I said, unfortunately, I can't give you the level of service that you need, but here's an individual who may be able to help. So like I created a solution for them as opposed to, you're fired, I don't want to deal with you anymore. Right. I mean, I think you'd have the right to do both, but you don't want, again, social media and the internet are so powerful where you don't necessarily want this person who you couldn't please. Nobody knows the situation. They could just trash you on the internet or on Google or whatever. And I've had that happen before. Nobody knows the situation, so it's like, if he said, and nobody knows, but the last thing you want is a bad review, or you want somebody to tarnish your name, because that's not okay. So anyway, I think it's healthy, even when you have a high level of gratitude, sometimes you can't please everybody. It's okay to potentially remove them from your client list or your customer base and just say, I can't serve you anymore. I've done everything I can possibly do. So I think that's healthy.
Yes, absolutely. I would say one of the other things is it does create a retention and a loyalty within your brand. If your brand is known for gratitude and appreciation, it draws people who are normally pretty grateful. Like you attract like-minded people. So I think it just creates an overall, a better brand, a better name for yourself, because you are drawing those type of people.
Yeah. Attractive people.
Right. Attractive people.
Attractive people. That's why we're together.
For sure. Grateful people attract grateful people, typically. Or people that then in turn become grateful people because they stick out like a sore thumb when they're negative Nelly, right?
Yeah, and that person won't last long in that group.
In that culture.
Yeah, or that culture, which I think is a part of, again, as you're talking about the business here, if you're creating that really great, grateful culture, positive culture, hardworking culture, like all of those things are they're all under the same bullet points, right? You know, positive, hardworking, grateful, happy, outgoing, like all of those things are under like really great culture, right? So when you have somebody that comes in from the outside that's not like that, they're, like you said, it's a sore thumb. It's like, okay, this person just doesn't fit. We need to find another position for you, or this just isn't the right place.
Or like the customer, right?
Yeah, this isn't the right place.
Let them go because it only takes one person.
To ruin everyone.
It only takes one grateful person to create an environment or a culture of gratitude. It only takes one person to ruin it and bring that negativity into the culture. We've seen that plenty of times.
Yeah, I would say in our past experience, we have seen that plenty of times, and on a few occasions we waited too long to remove that cancer from the culture. And you know, if I could give anybody experience on business and fixing your store, your team, your office environment, what have you, you've got to have a conversation immediately with the person who's creating the problem. And if they don't turn around quickly, day, 2 days, 3 days, you have to remove them. That's the worst part of my position, or as being a business owner, is firing people. Right. But you have to remove people quickly, or they will impact your business in an incredibly negative way.
And quickly, it happens
very
quickly.
Yep, yeah. And we've failed at it plenty of times. And so I'm recommending that you don't do what we've done in that aspect, because it can impact your bottom line. It can impact your attitude. Like there's times where there's certain stores in the past I don't even want to go visit. I don't even want to be there.
And that's how you know that the culture is really bad. Is when you don't even want to go visit it.
Correct. So thankfully, I think we're in a good spot now, at least with our business, where we don't have that case happening right now. But if it is the case, you've got to remove it quick, and you've got to kill it fast and move on and grow. And it's going to take time to rebuild that.
Right.
And that's a big hard part. Is people sometimes they know what they need to do. Right. They know they need to fire the person. They know they need to remove this person. They know they need to stop scheduling them. And what happens is they delay because they think it's going to fix itself.
Right.
They think it's just going to smooth over. It will get better. It's going to get better. I don't want to be the bad guy. And a lot of times that's my job, is I take on that role so that my leaders don't have to. But you have to act, when your gut is telling you this is not working out well, you must take action, and the action is typically what you don't want to do. Right. And if we don't do the things we know we need to do, then your business is going to suffer, your marriage is going to suffer, and you're going to not be a grateful person. So
let's switch to the marriage side, which I feel like it's funny how a lot of the things with the business side kind of are like the same on the marriage side too. But what would you say we've seen gratitude? What's the number one thing you've seen gratitude do in our marriage?
Was there a specific one? No. I mean, I think gratitude has just given us the ability to, communicate better. I think that's a big factor.
Yep.
I think gratitude has allowed us to understand where we've come from, like when we had nothing, when we were in debt, when we were in the military, we didn't know what we were doing. We were drones. We were literally drones. And I know this sounds funny, but when you think about the Matrix, for those of you who've seen the Matrix, the movie, you get the blue pill, you get the red pill. And I'm telling you, when you start doing some self-development, some reading, like it really is choice, red pill or blue pill. And as soon as you take that pill and you start to learn, you can never go back. The stuff that we know now, I could never go back and be in the military. Not because I don't like serving the country. It's because of the things that I know I'm worth, and I'm so much more talented because of the knowledge. And I don't mean that in a pompous way. Angela's looking at me like, that was rude. But that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. I mean it because there's so many people right now that are just droning around. They're droning around. They're in an office job, 9 to 5. You know, they're in law enforcement. They're in the medical field, and they're doing okay. They're doing okay. But deep down inside of their heart, inside of their stomach, one time, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times, they had this little flicker of a light. They had a flicker of a light, a little candle came on, like, man, wouldn't that be cool if we could do X, Y, and Z? Wouldn't that be cool if we could have a second home, a vacation home? or do X, Y, and Z. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, just for a flicker, they had it, and then boom, the man shut them down, and they got back into their 9 to 5. And so all I'm saying is, red pill, blue pill, if you educate yourself, which is uncomfortable, right? If we read some books, if we listen to some podcasts, I'm telling you that flicker of hope will turn on, and you will literally be opened up to a completely different lifestyle that you could have, and the opportunity is there to reach it.
Sure.
So the reason I'm saying that, I'm not being pompous, the reason I'm saying I could never go back is because I know what we can have, I know what we can get, I know how blessed we have been.
Right.
I can't imagine being trapped in almost indentured servitude.
Sure, but I think you're kind of blanket statementing, because I can think of
a little bit.
I can think of plenty of people that I know that are maybe in that 9 to 5, or that are in the military, or that are in other various fields, that love it, that do it well, that have a purpose, that are driven behind that.
I'm not saying
that have that because that's where they're called to be.
Are we fighting right now? Are we in a fight?
We're fighting on our podcast.
We're in a fight.
This is good.
This is
good. But I just think really blanket statemented,
you
and
give me some time to talk. You said it was a blanket statement.
Yes.
It's not a blanket statement. I literally said I could not go back.
Right, because of this scenario.
Yes. I couldn't do it.
That's fine, but I just think
because I feel like I've had my mind open to the reality of the world.
Right, but that's not to say that these people's mind haven't been opened either. Some of them, that's what they're called to do.
I don't know.
And without those people, you couldn't be doing what you're doing.
I don't know. I know some great nurses, some great doctors.
Incredible.
Yes.
And they're called to big things. And without them, you would not be where you're at.
But how bigger of an impact could they have if they weren't stuck in the hospital conglomerate that controls their life?
I don't know.
That's all I'm saying. I'm
just saying too, like,
you
we
could
need
be a
those
great nurse,
people.
you could be a great doctor, you could be a great attorney, you could be great at what you're doing. Because I see the world a little bit different, I say, those people are incredible. What if they were doing it on their own? How many more people could they help? Could they get healthy? Could they say, could they do attorney work for? Like, how many more people could they help if the conglomerate if they weren't working for them? Again, we're sidetracking here. I'm grateful for the red pill, blue pill. I'm grateful for my education. And it's not for everybody. It is absolutely not for everybody. I see your point. I wasn't making a blanket statement. Me personally, knowing what I know now, I couldn't go back to that type of a scenario.
That's also your personality too.
Yes.
You are very much, you're a free spirit.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm a free spirit. What would be my spirit animal, do you think?
A jellyfish.
What?
Yeah, just floating along.
I would be stinging people. I'd be a manta.
With your blanket statement.
Man of war? Yeah, if you don't fit in my blanket, then I'm going to sting you. All right.
So gratitude has helped our communication.
The point is knowing what I know now, I'm incredibly grateful for the experience I had working in the pool industry as a kid, working in the military as I was getting over, working in finance, and now being in legitimate business. I'm so grateful for that. And it's not for everybody. All I was saying is, for me, when you do finally give your mind a little bit of chance to expand, to grow, to explore, the possibilities of what you could do, what you could have, once you start to taste some of it, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to go back. And I've talked about this plenty of times with other people. If our business somehow magically went bankrupt and we had nothing, I'd go back and do the exact same thing again. I'd get into a very aggressive sales job, and I would just start knocking on people's doors so I could get my income as high as possible, and I would reinvest it into business.
So how does that help with our communication? We were way over here.
We did a little sidetrack. It's all good because it's important to get topics out, but we should maybe talk about that down the road. So with marriage, I think gratitude's helped our communication in a really big aspect, in the fact of, we're not solely focused on the negative things or the down and out things. Hey, we need to fix this, honey. Like, our conversations are in more depth. There's more meat. There's more, what's the word I'm looking for? There's more there's more depth to them in the aspect of looking towards the future. Grateful for what we've had in the past. What are some steps that we're going to have in the future?
Right.
As far as
it just also drives our conversations, right? Like I know that typically if you're coming to me, it's not with an attitude of degrading or negativity, or even if it is an issue, you're typically approaching it with a more positive attitude and with a grateful attitude versus like, oh no, what's he going to tell me now? So I just think that it has changed the way we communicate.
Yeah.
I would also say leading into that is like you appreciate each other more and the things that you're doing more. Because if I'm looking for the things that I'm grateful for you doing, I'm going to tell you, hey, thanks so much for doing that. Hey, I appreciated that you did X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. Hey, thanks for taking Lila to do this. Thank you for, you're way more appreciative because you're looking for those things mm-hmm. that the other person is doing. And I think that definitely affects our relationship.
Yeah, it creates attitudes of thankfulness and gratitude and positivity as opposed to just, why isn't dinner ready? Why isn't work getting done? Why were you working so late tonight? Why isn't the house clean? Why didn't Lila get to have her snack? Why is she still in her pajamas at noon? Like, yeah, no, it creates a different mindset, different attitude, a different style of communication versus you're so mad at your job or your business. You're negative in that aspect of life, and it just spills over into your marriage and into your family, into your kids.
Or vice versa. Maybe it starts in the home, right? Your spouses are negative, so they're creates
always
conflict,
nagging each other.
And then that conflict and that negativity spills over into your business life, mm-hmm. and then it fuels when you come home, and it's just this roundabout circle. Or it's the same thing with gratitude, right? You feel appreciated at home, you feel mm-hmm. loved at home, you feel valued at home. Therefore, you want to go pour that into your people at work, and it's a cycle that way, right?
Yeah. Somebody, I forget where I heard this, it was either a podcast or a book or something, but specifically talking about the husband and the father. As a leader, and that's mm-hmm. what we believe is the man is the head of the house, you're the leader. Doesn't mean I make all the decisions. We make big decisions together, Angela and I. But what I would say is this comment or this quote said, the husband is a thermostat, not a thermometer. Mm-hmm. You are there as the husband to set the energy level, set the temperature level, set the engagement level of your wife, your kids, your business, your staff, your employees, your vendors, your clients, your customers, everything. And it's so obvious, especially when I'm in the business, when I'm in Crumble, working with the team, and, I'm just crazy in general, but you're yelling up to the front of the counter, saying welcome to Crumble to the customers with that big old smile, and then you just start engaging them. Your energy is through the roof. Their energy starts to pick up. The team starts to smile, and it's just a totally different interaction, whereas you're just got your head down and you're balling cookie dough or you're doing something, right. And it just feels like a graveyard, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with the home. If I come in or get mm-hmm. off of work, where's Lila? Like, mm-hmm. I'm going to get you, right? Mm-hmm. Versus I come in, had a crappy day, mm-hmm. my head's down. Mm-hmm. The energy level, you are the thermometer. Mm-hmm. Thermostat, sorry. You are the thermostat. The thermometer just whatever level. At. Yeah. Well, you're just going at whatever level other people are at, and you're allowing other people to control your mm-hmm. energy level. Where in reality, if we're the thermostat and we're setting that pace, we're setting that energy level, it's a game changer. Mm-hmm. You're not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to be high energy, super positive, super grateful. But if you have the mindset of thinking that way, right. It's going to happen way more often than it won't happen. Right. So I think that's a big piece of the family and of the marriage too, is if my level of gratitude is always up here, mm-hmm. or trying to always be up here, yep. It's going to raise my kids' level of gratitude. It's going to raise my wife's level of gratitude, and even Lila, like she knows we write down what we're grateful for. We even talk to her about it.
Yeah, we'll ask her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knows.
And she writes it down.
She pretends.
There's been times we did an Instagram reel or something, but she'll write it down. Yeah. Dad, what are you grateful for? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Grateful for the sun, and she'll just scribble on a paper, right? Yeah. But what's that worth? She's now learning. Like, I never learned any of that stuff. I didn't know that. I wasn't taught that when I was a kid. right? And so now her seeing this, I mean, I can't wait to see where she's going to be when she's 25. Like, she's going to probably be a machine. A machine.
Well, we hope so.
I'm going to teach her all the things about the business.
Right. So the other side of it too, right? So it creates this environment. It also creates this emotional resilience or this emotional like safety within the home. And we talked about in the episode what women want. We want to feel like we're taken care of, like we're safe. We want this sense of security. And so it creates this emotional sense of security in a way that otherwise isn't there, I guess. Again, it goes back to like, if I feel like you're going to approach me with a conflict or an issue, but I know you're approaching it with a sense of gratitude or with a like, hey, I appreciate this, or I enjoy how you did this, but here's what we need to work through together. It's just a different way where I don't feel attacked. I don't feel like you're coming to me with problems that I can't help fix. I just feel this sense of security, knowing that even if there is an issue, we're going to tackle it together in as positive as we can, right? There's a lot of situations that we've been through that are negative, that are hard, and there's a lot of anger and resentment maybe towards situations or people, but I don't really feel like it's ever towards each other. And I think that stems from feeling emotionally secure within our relationship.
I would say if you've got a relationship where you don't feel that way, why? You need to dissect it and understand, is it a communication piece? Is it a trust piece? Is it a loyalty piece?
I think it's all of that. Because if you're on the opposite hand, right? If every time I came to you, it was something negative or something that you were doing wrong.
I'd want to smash my head through the glass window.
Or something, a conflict that you really can't fix, like you're not in control of. Or if I was always questioning you, or just this sense of negative, right? Like always just questioning what you're doing, pointing out all the things you did wrong today.
Yep.
There is no emotional security in that on both sides. So then I don't want to have a conversation. Why would I want to have a conversation with that person? Go ahead.
I think we're digging some things up, people.
No. I'm saying we've grown from that maybe, right?
I don't think it was ever like that, but
it was never that bad. I mean, I think there were definitely times where it maybe felt more like that, but we've continued to grow and communicate through it.
I mean, I think that's pretty standard in marriage, though.
Right.
Very standard in marriage.
Right. So how do you get out of that? How do you get out of this constant, like, oh, I don't want to talk to them because I know how it's going to be? I
mean, that's a tough question. Both people have to want to work on it. Mm-hmm. It's a both and. Mm-hmm. It's not a both or. Mm-hmm. It's you have to work on it, and you have to know that you're going to fail. And you've got to work for it. But it's just like we talked about in the past. The only way you grow is you have to be uncomfortable. And if you and I are like that, and you're negative and nagging me all the time, and why isn't this done, and why isn't that done, and why aren't the dishes done, and why are the kids still in their pajamas, and why did you get home at 5 o'clock at night, and why are you taking phone calls at 6 o'clock at night, which I've done every single night this week because it's just one of those weeks. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? That's going to get really freaking old. Mm-hmm. But if it's week after week after week and year after year after year, I mean, the first thing is I'd say you may need to just go to therapy.
Sure.
And just word vomit. Mm-hmm. What's the worst that's going to happen if you just word vomited everything you're feeling? And now your spouse actually knows the only way to fix something like that is to communicate. Mm-hmm. But if the way that I'm understanding how you're going to communicate to me is in a negative aspect, there's no way you and I can have that conversation alone. We need someone else to help mediate and understand.
Well, the wall's already going to be up. I'm not going to hear anything you're actually saying because I don't want to listen.
You say ever. But I'm just saying in that scenario, that's 100% how it is. And it's not just a fence.
It's a wall.
It's a 4-foot thick brick wall with insulation, sheetrock, and painted nice and pretty, so that I at least have a nice, pretty wall that I can look at while I'm hearing wah, 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 wah. Right? Sure, honey, whatever you want. I love it. Let's do it. Right. But that's a real problem. That is, I would say, a big problem in today's marriages and today's couples. And we've been through that a little bit in the past.
The wall started to be built.
Yeah, and then I ripped that thing down with a wrecking ball.
But I think it's more like brick by brick, you can take it down. And however many years it took to build it, guess what? It's probably going to take that many years to take it back down.
If they want to work on it. If this couple or whoever's out there that has this problem, if they want to actually work on it. But what I'll tell you is as you get it down, you can start seeing each other. You can start becoming more vulnerable. You can start letting your partner, your husband, your spouse, your wife into the relationship again.
Yep.
And becoming more and thrive more. And you can get on the same goals and you can get on the same path again and you can actually start being married as opposed to just being roommates, which is what a lot of marriages are. I do enjoy hearing people, oh yeah, we've been married 30 years, we've been married 25 years, we've been married 35 years. You've been married 35 years or you've been roommates for the last 20, right?
Right.
I want to be married for 30 plus years, 30, 60, 70 years, however long it is. I think I could realistically live into my 100s. 115s.
I don't, so maybe we'll be married.
No, I think it's possible. We get back to eating food from the ground and we start getting the health going even more. I think, listen, back in the olden Bible days, they were living to average of 110, 130. It's possible.
It's possible.
Anyway, my point here is you approach the couple or the husband or the wife, you've got to bring down the wall. You've got to approach them with a heart of gratitude. And that's not going to happen overnight. And so you asked me that one question is, I would honestly talk about therapy. Again, well, I don't know if I want to do therapy. Well, listen, if you want to fix your marriage, you have to get uncomfortable. So it's going to be uncomfortable
No matter
for the
what.
next 20 years until you're dead. Or you could get a therapist or you could have someone mediate and just talk through life. And that's going to be uncomfortable too. So the question is you're going to have two types of pain. We've talked about this plenty of times. It's either the pain of change or the pain of regret. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
I would rather have the pain of change every single day of the week.
Yeah.
Every day of the week, I would rather pain and change. And we're going through that all the time.
Yeah.
Going through that in business with banks sucking. And we're going through that in business with tough employees and opening new facilities and construction sucking and asbestos and demolition sucking and just all of these problems. Well, I need to change my mindset. I need to change the way I communicate with these people. I need to change the way we do business with banks. I need to change. And it is terrible. It's terrible. The first month of January of 2025 has been probably one of the worst starts to a year we've had in a long time. But if we don't change and adapt and overcome, we will continue to do the same things over and over again. And then next year, 2026, we'll look back and we'll say, wow, we're doing the same exact thing we were doing in 2025. Because we didn't change, we didn't get uncomfortable. And so we're going to regret all of these years and years that we go down. I'm talking business here now. Same thing with your marriage. You have to change, and I have to change. You have to change. The people who are listening right now, I'm getting fired up here, but the people who are listening right now who have a sucky marriage, who know they have a sucky marriage, they need to say, you know what, I have a sucky marriage. What am I going to do?
Right.
Am I going to change it and talk to my wife, talk to my husband? Or am I just going to say, let's just keep going. It's worked out for the last 20 years.
Right.
Yeah, but you don't even like each other. You're like friends, kind of.
Maybe.
I feel like friends that like each other even more. Like, I would rather hang out with some of my friends.
The problem.
Right?
Right.
I'm going to shut up now, but you get my point. That is one of the biggest problems in this country is the marriages. And the husbands and the wives, they're not together on the same page with raising kids. And so it's just this cycle. They're at conflict with each other. They don't want to change because they're the big macho man or the big macho woman or whatever you have. And it bleeds down into the kids. And then that generation of kids grows up and becomes little pukes and little turds. And then they go into college and they get married and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And that's where we're at, is we need good marriages, which is why we're around, to help marriages become resilient and help business owners be successful. But we need good marriages, strong husbands and strong wives leading their kids, whether it's into the 9 to 5 or it's in entrepreneurship, whatever you decide. And the husband needs to take the lead with the wife's support, communicate, change, and adapt. To be hanging out farting around, not enjoying it. God has given us an incredible life.
Right. So I'm going to challenge those couples that feel like that's where they're at.
And I know that there's those couples listening right now.
Discouraged. Like, how can we get out of this? This week, all your conversations, I want you to try to approach with an appreciation for your spouse or with gratitude for your spouse. This is not going to be easy. And there's going to be conflicts and you're going to be like, well, how in the world can I bring this conflict to my spouse? They really ticked me off. I don't like the way that they did this. Stop yourself and figure out a way to approach it with gratitude. Find something that you can be grateful for about something else. Maybe it's not even applicable to what you want to actually address. And write down, by the end of the week, write down what you saw happen. Maybe there was just this glimmer of hope in your spouse because you weren't attacking them. You were actually appreciating the things that they're doing. I promise there's things that are worth appreciating. You just have to be looking for it. So that's my challenge for this week. And I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to approach my husband with appreciation the rest of this week and see how it changes. I guarantee that it will change the tune of our conversations. So that it leads into our last and final point, is that there's this intimacy and a connection that comes through being grateful for each other that otherwise doesn't exist. And it leads into that same emotional thing, especially for women. When we feel that appreciation, that security, and that love through a sense of gratitude, there's nothing that can compare to it because we feel all those things that we need. So try to approach this week with a sense of gratitude. It will change your business and it will change your marriage.
Yeah, just one quick thing on that connection. And we're going a little bit long here, but I think this is a very hot topic that, especially on the marriage side, right? And the business is very, very similar. If we don't treat our staff and our leaders, our team, with the right amount of gratitude and respect and communication, and it's only a one-way street, hey, James is the owner and I can only talk with him, about this or about that. No, I love it when our staff just calls me. Now, I'm busy, so it's hard to just chit-chat sometimes, but I do like when they call. I like when they call. I want to know what's going on. How was their day? Like, was it a good day? Was it a bad day? What happened? Because it creates that connection. And so you're talking about this connection, this intimacy level. You don't truly get to know people until that connection is there. Because they don't truly trust you.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't get to move past, I don't want to say brick wall, but you don't get to move past glass door. I can see you through the glass door. We can hear each other talking, but I can never put my arms around you. I could never touch you or never be close to you because there's that wall, that glass. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but until you really truly build that level of trust, build that gratitude, and it's not 1 week. It's not going to happen in 1 week. You've got a 30-year marriage, and then 1 week, all of a sudden, you just you're so grateful and gratitude. No, that's not going to work. Right. It's weeks on weeks on weeks, which is that uncomfortable part. But you have to understand.
You got to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere, but you also have to understand you screwed up for the last 13 years, 15 years, 20 years. You can't expect your spouse to just be like, all right, come on in, I'll let you in the front door.
Right. Might take a brick down.
1 brick. You don't even get the glass door if you've been doing it for that long. But my point is with that connection, that intimacy, when you do get to that, the bond of we can run through any problem together is unbreakable. It just, you start to dream together. And your dreams start to line up. You start to, I said dream, but you start to daydream. You start to think about your vision together. You start to put your kids into that vision. You start to accomplish things like that you wanted to together.
Yep.
And so the power of 2 people moving in the same direction versus the power of 1 moving in that direction, and then versus the power of 1 moving in the opposite direction.
Pulling.
And pulling is night and day difference. And so we're not perfect by any stretch.
Nope.
But we've lived a little bit long. We've lived long enough. We've been married 13 something years. We've seen enough marriages literally just explode, end in divorce, end in nastiness. We've seen marriages get fixed. We've seen marriages thrive. We've seen marriages coast. We've seen marriages be in the mud, go nowhere. And it goes back to being uncomfortable. Yeah. Same thing with business. It's no different in the business. And so I would just encourage you, get uncomfortable. Be vulnerable with somebody. Tell them you failed, you screwed up. Go see a counselor, go see a therapist, talk with somebody. Find somebody that you trust and talk with them. Until you start communicating, you start talking, letting things out, you're going to hold this burden inside forever. And it's going to damage your business and it's going to ruin your marriage. So unless you have anything else, thank you guys for listening to this episode.
We're grateful that you joined us.
Very grateful that the 17 of you joined us. Share this with somebody that you know needs to hear it. Share it with somebody who's in business struggling. Share it with a married couple. Let them know, hey, start halfway through, 30 minutes through. That's when we start talking about marriage. We'd love to talk with some people. Angie and I would love to communicate with you guys. Let us know if you've got struggles. We're happy to give you some thoughts, give you some advice, tell you about our failings and our successes. Because we're truly passionate about seeing businesses built successfully and seeing marriages become resilient again and just thrive. So appreciate you. Catch you on the next one.